Well, here we go, everyone. Welcome to the She Finds Joy podcast, and I'm your host, Kim Strobel. I want to tell you what this podcast is going to be about, when we're going to come every single week and talk about everything. All right, I'm snapping here. Let me start over. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 0 of the She Finds Joy podcast. I'm your host, Kim Strobel. Let me tell you, this podcast is about things that are near and dear to my heart when it comes to being modern women, finding big joy in our lives, while also talking about the hard stuff. Look, I know there are a bazillion podcasts you could be listening to. So let me tell you why I think this is the one for you. First of all, I have studied the topic of happiness and joy for the last 20 years. Why? Well, because just like you, I have been through hard things in my life. I have had challenges from severe panic disorder that prevented me from doing everything from going to college to walking to my mailbox. And Lord help me if I had to go to Walmart. I went through a painful divorce. I became who everyone else wanted me to be so that I could fit in and be accepted, and everything could look great on the inside. All the while, I was silently suffering on the inside. I had learned to play small in my life when my soul yearned to play big, because I knew small was safe and big was scary. And just like you, we've all had darkness. We've all had adversities. We've all had suffering, but we also all get to choose how to overcome them, how to leave the victim mentality and rise up as the warriors that we women are. Because even though I've endured a lot of hard things in my life, I also know the path to joy, to increased happiness, and to feeling alive every single day. I know that the inner work that I've done for the last 20 years has led me to create a life that is still full of struggles, but that is full of so much happiness, so much joy, so much love, and that I am exactly where I am and who I am. And who that is exactly enough. And that, my friends, is what I want for each and every one of us. I know it's so darn hard to get lost in the fray of everything. Let's be honest, growing up and being a woman is hard. We have so much responsibility. We're told to have a career, but we're also supposed to raise our children as if we don't have a career. We are told to be great parents, yet we are expected to raise our children as if we don't have a career. In the meantime, And in the meantime, we are supposed to be all and do all for everyone else. What happened to us? How did this thing called adulting become so darn hard? We didn't know at the time that we were going to have to give up our dreams or a meaningful career, or that we wouldn't be doing anything less than what we wanted to do, that we'd be surviving instead of thriving. We didn't know that we'd be living the exact same day every single day, year after year. We've got obligations and deadlines and people to care for, and somehow we get it all done. But at what cost? At what cost to us and our souls and our own joys and happiness? We get caught in those old stories and patterns of trying to hustle for our worthiness each and every day, or trying to be people pleasing at the expense of ourselves. We do crazy things like say yes to things we really hate to do. And we keep looking for the magic pill or the magic program or the sparkly, glittery, unicorned answer. so that we can finally find this crazy thing called balance and happiness. Yet, many times, it still feels out of reach. And you know what? Most of us here, we did the right things. We followed the path of what we were told would lead to success. But let's be honest, the path didn't end up the way we expected it to. And we feel very lost from who we really are. And we don't know what our next step is. We don't know how to reclaim that part of ourselves that wants to show up in a really big way. So, my friends, what has happened? Why do we feel so lost from who we are in the truest of our hearts? Lost from the What has happened? Why do we feel so lost from who we are in our truest of hearts? Lost from the super shiny soul that's fighting to be seen for who she really is and wanting so badly to reclaim our identity. Yet we don't know how to do it or that we even have the permission to do so. Well, that's where I come in as your happiness coach, because I'm here to tell you that together as women, we can reclaim it, and that it's our 100% responsibility to claim our space, our joy, our happiness, our relationships, our dreams, and what we want out of this life. So I want this podcast to be a community of women who aren't afraid to talk about the real stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly, the hard, the big wins and the failures that were part of it. I want this podcast to be about how we all have the power to step into our whole self, that we can be magical, we can be loved, we can be beautiful, capable, and we can still be excited about our life. That even though life can be messy at times and is a struggle, that we know we can do hard things and still find lots of joy. I want this to be a place where we come together as women and find our true north, that truest sense of who we really are. And I want us to learn to love that woman with all we've got. So I'm going to be talking about all things joy, happiness, spirituality. How can we navigate to our deepest desires? How can we learn to ask for what we really want? And how do we bring our well-being at the forefront so that we can live big, bold, brave lives? I'll be teaching you how to learn to value yourself and incorporate way more well-being in your life. I will be teaching you how you can learn to see your brilliance and bring it out into the world. But I also want these podcast episodes to help us have real conversations in the free Facebook group, which is www.kimstrobel.com/she finds joy. I want us to jump into that free private Facebook group and have real, honest, vulnerable conversations about the themes and the topics that we're discussing here on this podcast. I want us to talk about ideas and topics that are important to us. And I want us all to feel that deep sense of connection from woman to woman that we're all yearning for. I want us to never feel like we are alone. And I want us all to discover the courage to be who we really are. I want us to learn to connect with one another and share our unfiltered stories of parenting, love, money, relationships, disappointment, frustrations, and everything in between. I want us to realize that even with our flaws and our mistakes, we are still enough exactly as we are, and we still deserve to live an exceptional life. So, yes, that's what I'm going to be talking about in these future episodes every single Thursday. So, I want you, your sister, your mother, your girlfriends, your coworkers, and everyone else who is ready to reclaim joy in a big way, who's ready to play in the arena of bigness, and who's ready to find themselves back to who they really are. I want you to invite everyone to come along on this journey with me. I want you to feel inspired, but I also want you to learn that you are so worth it, my friend. So invite your friends, snap a screenshot of the podcast, post it on your social media, and invite them to www.kimstrobel.com/She Finds Joy. That's our Facebook group, and that's where we will be continuing our conversations after the podcast. Friend, I am so excited to embark upon this journey with you. And let me tell you, I too have been afraid of failing with this podcast, knowing if I have enough stuff to talk about and teach about. And I have even dragged my feet from launching this darn thing. But I had to practice what I preach, which is this: who I am is exactly enough. I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have it all together. I just have to show up. Thank you so much. And I look forward to where we go from here.